Welcome to this chat, everyone, and thank you so much to the Fine Arts, to the Sooke Fine Arts Show for permitting this. It's really a wonderful show. I was thinking I should. I'm thinking I should explain how I got into doing this chicken wire thing. So part of what I did in the past was with theater and TV and whatnot. And of course, with theater, if you need a rock, you make chicken wire and you cover it with paper mache and you do that. So I started with paper mache over chicken wire in the 80s. And if I could share my screen and my website, I can show you what I used to do a long time ago.
Is it allowing you to share?
I'm just getting the screen up here and then the share screen. I have to say, Terry is the most patient person. Oh, we've been absolutely having a horrible time. Oh yeah, and with getting my second camera going. But I really appreciate it. Thank you. So here's share. Okay. What are you seeing in the share?
I am seeing your web page.
Oh, good. Okay. And does it have a cat in the top?
It does.
Okay. If you look at the this was an old one that I did from the 80s that is chicken wire with paper mache over top of it, and then fabric and gold paint, and I just sort of grabbed whatever and threw it all at it. So I did a number of these full-size figures, and I really enjoy them. But it was the 80s, and there was no internet, and there was no way of marketing them, really. So it got pretty crowded around my house. So I had to kind of stop doing them, and I went into other things. But what I found that I really liked was just leaving the wire open. So when I started my cat kennel, which was 5 years ago, I had to obey the bylaws that requested that you have a really small sign because it's in a residential area. So it's what do they call it? A small a home-based business. So you're only allowed a really small sign, but you're allowed to have giant cats on the roof. So there we go. So these are the cats that you may have seen if you're in my area. I have them sort of scattered around my area, my property. Some of them are windsocks, some of them are on top of the roof, and some are, on fences and whatnot. This one is up on the roof. That one points towards the sun, so it's called Saluting the Sun. So the most wonderful thing about chicken wire is that it's galvanized. And also when you do these statues, the wind goes through them. So there's no big wind resistance. So you can stick a giant sculpture on top of your house without doing a whole lot of engineering to keep it there because the wind doesn't blow it away. So it's pretty useful that way. I like to paint them white, primarily to give them a contrast to the background, which is usually dark. With the galvanized wire, it's not going to rust. The paint I use is usually Krylon, which is a paint that you can use on plastic and metal and everything else, and it tends to be a somewhat of a rust inhibitor as well. So I've had my cats up for 5 years with no problem at all. I'll scoot up there in the spring and just give them a shot of white just to brighten them up, because I live on a highway and it's dusty. So they do get, I didn't do it this year, but they do benefit from just being sparked up if they're a little bit sad. So I started with doing the chicken wire went back to the chicken wire and then did the giant cats. And then with the internet, you can sort of scoot around to all the world and see what's going on. And I was looking up chicken wire. There's a few things that are interesting, but one that was just brilliant to me is Kendra Haste, who, let me see if I can find her. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I might have lost that window. Kendra Haste does these amazing, beautifully lifelike creatures. Darn. Huh. I had the window open and I think I closed it. Oh, here. I'm sorry. If you look up Kendra Haste, it's H-A-S-T-E, and look up Kendra Haste with London, Tower of London. She's in England, and she recreated the animals that were brought to the Tower of London in the 1800s. They were dragged back from the colonies and whatever. And she has done this really wonderful job of recreating animals with they just look so lifelike. They're wonderful. So she inspired me to make my sculptures a little bit thicker, and just basically sort of gave me the confidence to sort of, okay, you know, these are actually legitimate. You know, that you can do chicken wire without the paper and everything else on top of them. So I've been doing a lot. Just in the last year and a half, and again with the internet, I've got things. This one's in Texas. This one's in Austria. This one's in Bowser. This one's in Montreal. I have two of these in England, which is really neat. They're both sitting in front of ponds. So anyway, it's given me an outlet for them, so it's not crowding up my house. So I'm really enjoying doing them and creating them. So it was this year that I decided that, well, maybe they will be accepted into a fine arts arena, because they tend to get, as soon as you say you work in chicken wire, you kind of get relegated to, you know, like craft or something. So I've been accepted with chicken wire, with this little girl actually. Where is she? Into the Federation of Canadian Artists, and then I entered Sooke, just on an off shoot that, you know, maybe it will be accepted. And I was thrilled to be accepted into the Sooke Fine Arts Show. So it's really it gave such a positive spin on the whole idea of using chicken wire, and then to win the Designer's Choice Prize. What can I say? I'm very happy this year with it. And thanks again to Sooke Fine Arts for acknowledging the idea that this is artwork, that it's an expression of liveliness, and it's taking the material and understanding its limitations and working with it to create something that is not so industrial and not so non-lifelike. So I'm just going to close this and hopefully I can get back. Stop share there, stop share. So I'm back here. So I'm just going to run through a few basics of chicken wire. There's a safety element. I use gloves. These are gardening gloves. I don't know if you can see them can you see them in this the little camera? Yeah. So anything that has a little bit of leather is really helpful. What you're doing is balancing the idea of protection against flexibility. So there are big leather gloves that are no fun. It's really good if you get a left hand and a right hand, Because I can't believe how many right-hand gloves I have and no left-hand gloves. I don't know where they all go to. It's like socks or something. I don't know. So anyway, that I use the gloves. I'm wearing glasses, which actually I would recommend some kind of eye protection. Occasionally a wire will snap back at you, and it would be just awful if you lost your eyesight to it. So I don't know if there's just protective glasses or if you're just wearing glasses. I've never had it happen to me, but I would hate to hear of anybody losing their eyesight. So snips, these are metal snips. I really like the ones with the spring so that you're not hauling them apart again. So you can snip them, it comes back out. And I use the bent nose pliers. And again, the ones that have a little bit of a spring so that you're not constantly, that's double work if you have to do that. I am incredibly spoiled in that I have a radial arm saw with a metal blade, so I can cut small pieces on my saw, which saves a lot of repetition. So I do a lot of strips that I can use. I'm even doubly lucky in that I have my partner, Kim. He's set up a whole situation that cuts squares. If you've ever wrestled chicken wire off a roll, you'll understand what I mean. This is just life-saving, having this cut. So he wrestles it through a couple of different bars and then slides it out and cuts it. So I have these nice little pre-cut squares that just, are ready to work. The other thing we do is cut the edges off the chicken wire. When you get a roll, there's a straight line that runs down the edge of the chicken wire. And I don't like working with it because it shows up. It sort of jars your eye when you're working with the regular bodies. So we cut off about an inch and a half on each side of it, on both sides. So it ends up in a little tight roll. I'll show that to you afterwards. I'll do a little walkabout with the camera. And that's what I take to make the hair. I run it through a little metal pipe. So it sort of looks like dreadlocks after it's done. So that's how I do the hair. And it means that I don't waste that chicken wire. So we'll take a look at the fabric itself. It's like any fabric, you learn its strengths and its weaknesses. And what seems to be a weakness at first can actually be a strength. So if you look closely at it, hopefully this is showing closely in my camera, you'll see there's a weave. So this is the way it comes out of the machine. So there's a warp and a weft, just like there is in a fabric. And if you're bending it with the weave, it's quite floppy. You can move it quite easily. If you turn it to the side and go against the weave, it's very springy. So what you want to do is whenever you're applying a piece, is to think, okay, do I want it springy or do I want it floppy? Because it's springy this way, so you can make a wonderful cylinder that will hold its shape. If you do it the other way, it'll collapse in on itself. So all right. Yeah. So this is a cylinder that will remain hollow inside, but if you put it on its end, it collapses. Okay? So what you do is just like in construction, when you're building a house or whatever, if you have all vertical pieces, they might slide this way and that way. But if you put a wall on it or something horizontally, it firms it up. So you take your cylinder and then you put it the opposite direction. So here's your cylinder that's good this way, but floppy that way. So you put it with the fabric going the opposite direction and just wrap it. And what you then have is just, it just solidifies it. It's quite neat how strong you can make it. And as you're doing your sculpture, the more layers you can put back and forth and diagonally and whatever, the stronger it is. Sorry, I got itchy nose syndrome. Okay, so now it's no longer squishy that way. It's nice and springy this way. And so you've got a hollow cylinder. So if you look at your body, you're made out of cylinders. You're made out of small cylinders joining with bigger cylinders. So it's the way I approach construction is just to think, okay, where's the cylinders, and then figure out how to join them up. So I've got a little, hold on here. I've got this guy. Or girl, I guess it is. So I started this at a different demo. So it's just the beginning of a person, but you can see it's cylinders. And then you take the cylinder and you figure out how to join it. Part of my past was that I did a year of fashion design, so I do know how to draft patterns and things. But it's pretty self-explanatory what you have to do. In order to join this cylinder to that, if I just butted it up, it would look kind of stupid. But if you cut it and shape it, you can set in your legs. So there's two cylinders joining a big cylinder is what it is. And then from there, what I do, first of all, I usually put on my gloves after I start doing, oh, hey, I just hurt myself. So from there, using various strips and sizes, you can just sort of bandage those things on. So you know, if you wrap that together now, what you're doing all the way through is hooking what I call pigtails. Can you see the edge of?
Mhm.
You can see the edge of that. Right? Yeah. See how there's little pieces. So you're going to grab one of those pieces with your needle nose plier, grab it, stuff it down into a hole, turn it, and then release. And it's like hooking a rug almost. So grab it, turn it, and release. If you really want to have a good anchor point, you grab it, put it under, bring it back up, and twist it around. So there's some places there that you really want it to hold really tightly, and then it will hold the other less tight ones together. So basically, that's how you start constructing a person. You can then, it's not marble, it's not precious at all, which is great. So can you imagine working in marble and you go chip, 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 and then, oh no, it took too much off. So with this one, if you take too much off, you can put more on. If you take too little off, or if it's too big, you know, you can squeeze it. So I'm just going to give this leg just a little bit of a shape just by squeezing it. And the same with its ankle. If you push it too far in, you pull it out again. You know, you just sort of, you're the boss. Right? If it doesn't look like it wants to squish all the way in, you can cut it and do essentially a dart So I want a really shapely little ankle. So I'm cutting this. Is that showing on my? Yeah. And these have gone so dull. I should have got a new print. Okay. So instead of trying to make it really small, I'm just going to fold it over like a dart. And you can do this in a million different places on the body, but so I've just made a dart in that ankle, and then I will anchor that. So I'm doing the same thing of just grabbing the little ends, pushing them in. So now you can see this leg has half a chance of looking a little bit more interesting than the solid cylinder. So that's how you start getting it shapely. And you go all the way through the character looking at should you go with the grain or against the grain. When you're cutting, I have two rolls here. This one is cut with the grain. And what that means is that when you apply it to the sculpture, you only really have to deal with the ends sticking out. So you only really have to hook these ends together, because you know these ones will look after themselves. They're okay, but these ones will stick out, and this is what you want to pull really tight. So you stick them in that way. If you go against the grain, then you've got all these little ends. I'm lazy. I don't like doing all those little ends. So I usually, if I have a long skinny piece, I will do it with the grain, only so I can avoid having to put all these little ends tucked in. That's a lot of repetitive movement. So those are the two different directions. So the way I bandage that leg together, you basically do that bandaging over all of them. It's like skinning them. Anytime that you want more, you can just bundle up. You can see how this girl's got boobies here. So, but what they are just little bundles. You know, they're bundled up little pieces, put on, and then you put the skin over top of them and just shape it and pin it down. And you got boobies or bum or whatever. How you do your nose and hands are a pain. What I usually do is do every digit where I use the long way and make what I usually do is a long line of this and cut it into 4 pieces. So that's 4 fingers for your hand. And then I wrap it the opposite direction. Should have another piece of this. So I wrap it in the opposite direction, which gives each little finger strength. But I make the fingers from the tip of the fingers to the wrist. And then you cover you bandage up those 4 flanges, right? And then you add a thumb, because the thumb is right out, you know, it's not one of this. So I just make a big lump and run it around and then bandage it onto the hand. But you can see how if you wrap that long skinny piece that I did, you can manipulate it. That's yeah. that so your fingers can go. So what I was thinking is I was going to walk around and show you a couple of sculptures that I have here that are sort of partially ready to go and not. I can show you the one that I just started this afternoon. I've got the torso just so you can see that it's the same concept that I was doing with the other little guy, but the risk of like a gynecologist or something. What this is going to be is a rider on a horse, and I'm waiting for the. I have to show you this because it's crazy the size. If you people are horsey people, or if you just like romantic things, you know what a Frisian horse is. A Frisian horse is huge, and they're wonderful, wonderful horses. I have a lot of horse background as well, but yeah. So this woman has commissioned me to make a full-size Frisian horse. So that means that this back is going to be just about here, 16 hands high, and then the head will be approximately 7 feet high, and there will be a woman. And of course, we can't just have a woman on a full-size Frisian horse. We have to have a hawk with the woman on the full-size Frisian horse. So that's going to be so much fun. So right now I'm waiting for an armature for the horse. That's the basic outline. I don't know if you can see the red basic outline of the armature. That should be coming next week, but I thought I could start out on doing the rider this week while I'm waiting for the armature. And I tried to work as much as possible without any armature. This is mainly so that I can hang the wire off the armature, just have it in that height. If you do the back and forth and the you know, if you do what I was saying with doing the cylinders and reinforcing it, they become amazingly strong. Like I wouldn't be surprised that I could do this horse and it would stand without armature. Where I would worry about it is maybe that these legs would eventually widen or whatever. But so this armature has a base that will hold it. Yeah. So usually I don't use an armature. If I use anything, it's a base with just one pole sticking up to maybe waist height on the figure, and that holds it. And what again was amazing with the idea that the wind goes through these things. I can, you know, I've got a woman lying down on my roof that's just thrown up there. Like there's no nails or anything holding her on because she's got enough weight that she sits there and the wind will not blow her away because the wind goes through it. And I've got the cat and the fiddle on top of a little gazebo, and you would never consider putting any kind of solid thing up there, I don't think, because it would be too dangerous. It would just be damn dangerous. But with the chicken wire, you don't need any, you know, there's no big engineering feat putting that thing up there. You just stick it up there. It stays there, which is pretty neat. So with this horse, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get the arm of the woman up with the hawk. That's going to be, you know, I have to really reinforce it, but I think I could do it. It should be doable. But apart from that, everything else should be fine. Put lots and lots of mane, like that really long mane and really long tail. So what I'm going to do is wander around with this. My audio is on my computer. So Terry, can you yell at me if you can't hear me?
I can do that, sure. I'm great at yelling. I do have one question for you first, though. When you're talking about armature, what kind of material do you use for your armature?
Well, I get there's a guy called Dave Kasprick, Red Cod Forge, and he just uses like a 1/4 inch metal rod, you know, like
Okay.
a steel rod onto either a plate or a frame, and it gives enough weight to hold it. A full-size figure, only a full-size female weighs about 30 pounds.
Oh, really? Okay.
30 to 40 pounds. So I can lift them all. I can carry them around, which is great.
Okay.
But yeah, and it helps when you're shipping overseas too, that they're not that heavy. It's still crazy expensive to ship anything because they work on, I didn't realize they work on a cubic meter, 3 cubic meters. So if you're under 3 cubic meters, it doesn't matter how much it weighs. You know, it's
Okay.
the bulk of the inches. So
I do have one more question coming in as well. Linda is asking, will you show or explain how you create hair?
I will, but it will mean that I have to go outside, so it'll be muted, but I can show it to you.
Okay.
And you can yell like it'll be outside. Yeah, I can go and do that right now. So it'll be I'll yell out from outside.
Okay. Okay.
So we're going out to my outside part. I don't know. That's working, is it?
Can people see the Sheena's iPhone mobile moving?
You should be able to see a portrait right now.
Yep, I can see that, but I don't know if everybody can see that in the big screen or whether it's just on a small little square. If you could type your answer in the box, that'd be great. I'm just wondering, oh, I guess because it doesn't have the sound. Okay, so Natalie's saying, yes, they can see it in a small square. They've pinned that screen. So if you pin that screen, it should make it, if you go up to that particular screen and you click the 3 dots and it says more, you should be able to pin the screen, and that's what you will be seeing as your big screen. So it's working, Sheena.
I'm headed out, Terry.
Okay.
Here I go. So here's the outside, and here is where I do. Okay, here's my saw. Can you see my saw? This is my metal saw.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put this here, and hopefully you'll be able to see it.
I'm not sure if everybody's able to hear that, but what she said was that this is her metal saw, and she's
Can you see a round thing there? Okay, I'll
yep.
take it closer. So
Yeah, we can see it.
yeah, okay. So what I'm showing you is the cut ends.
Mm-hmm. Okay, looks like she's threading it through there from those. Okay. Oh, so it's just strength pulling it through. Wow. Mm-hmm.
So that's the dreadlock. You can see it, okay?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so here's the little dreadlock thing. And what I do is make it long enough to make, when I fold it in half, I can do 2 strands of hair. And what I tend to do is, you know how they do hair extensions? You know, they make like a little, I make like I cut a little piece like this. And then I just stick this in here and pull it back, right? And if you fill up one of these, you get a whole lot of hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, how am I doing it? And then you put it on the head. And then from there, you take, I have my little magic baton, a chair leg. I think it was, or a chair or something or other, I don't know. Yeah, I've used PVC piping, I've used whatever. So you just wrap it and you have a curl.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at the curls, they vary. They can be very, actually these girls are all curly. So this is Circe. That's her curls.
Mm-hmm.
Her little fingers, her little phalanges. Okay. This is my latest, this is my mermaid, and the camera doesn't show the bling in her. she's got blingy bits all through her hair because it was for a woman who owned a store that had a lot of bling in it. She's going to be a fountain, so I've run a hose through her hand.
Oh,
She's going to be holding on to a shell and filling up a pond.
oh, wow.
And I just spray bomb the living daylights out. I love this. This is Oasis Blue. I just love Oasis Blue. Oasis Blue and with the dark blue and on the bottom of the dresses and things reminds me of in March here we have the herring runs and the water is this insane blue. It's gorgeous. And I'm really enjoying these little gazing balls. They're stainless steel.
Mm-hmm.
And they give a nice contrast. So there's these ones. This is the little one that went to the Federation of Canadian Artists. I have to cut her off.
Mm-hmm.
This one I did a thing where I was just trying out. It's the rubberized painting that you do at the back of a truck. You know,
Okay.
your truck. So it feels really neat and it sort of pops up a little bit. I'm looking for puffy paint basically. These are all the fairies from the fairy kits. I'll show you the fairy kits just because they're a lot of fun. This girl has the wings and it looks like lace, which is just really a hoot because it isn't. What it is the wings are fly screen and then I've drizzled spray glue with them.
Oh.
And then when you spray on them, it looks nice. And this is her little peplum and everything is sprayed. It's fly screen as well, just cut out. So yeah, the tour. The fairy kits, which is kind of a nice introduction to chicken wire. So this is the fairy kit, comes in a nice little box. This is my old graphic artist weenie days. Like I still use Photoshop and everything. So, and I've got the book with like super easy to follow how to make your fairy. And then on the back, it has a website where you can go and get step by step how to put it together, but also how to, you know, when you make it, it just looks like this, which is kind of dull. Well, I mean, it's a cute little fairy, but it's kind of wooden. But I show you how to, you know, where to put your thumb to arch the back and arch the, and then I also show you a thing about proportion for the legs. I could do a quick proportion study for you.
Before you get into that, I do have another question for you. This is from Christina, and she wants to know, how would you ship the horse, woman, and hawk? Would it be a huge crate,
No.
particularly for the horse?
What's going to happen is the head is going to be removable. I have it's going to have two things that come down and slide into the armature for the things. And I've really wondered about that. And then I thought, oh, well, I can put you know how horses will have like a breastplate. So I'll do a really fancy breastplate that will conceal the fact that its head's going to fall off. So yeah, it can slide into it, so it should be fine. The woman is going to be removable. So 5'4" is going to fit into, you know, like a pickup truck or whatever. Like that's it. So it'll be in 3 pieces, but it is large. It's cute. So anyway, yeah, there's that. Here's the thing that I love, because it's such a, we get duped by marketing things, but just as a quick where am I? Come on. How does that work?
That works, yeah.
Okay, so a person, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 heads high. That's your standard. That's an average person is 5 heads high. Okay. Model is about 10 heads high. Okay. Vogue drawing of the dress that you buy, you know, this is how you're going to look. Is about 16 hands high, or like at least 12 hands high. And the thing is, the torso stays pretty much the same. It's the length is particularly in the lower part of the leg. The upper part of the leg is not elongated, but you know, all the Photoshop people and whatever, they really go for it in the lower part of the leg. So what I do with the fairies is do a proportion where the leg is just a little bit less than like the top leg is a little less than the bottom leg. So I show you how to do that. This is like a major piss off when you go and buy a dress. So anyway, that's how the fairy works. And I tend to do that because, like I said, I did a year of fashion design and did some fashion drawing, and it tends to even sneak into my life drawing. And that's another thing I wanted to say about my background, but also I think for artwork in general, doing life drawing, like going to the regular studio sessions that you have a model, a nude model or whatever, and you're doing those really fast drawings, and you're doing them on really crappy paper, so you're not all worried about screwing up a piece of white paper. So you do a quick 2-minute drawing, don't like it, you throw it away. But you continue to do that, and then they lengthen the set, like the poses. Usually usually it's like a 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, and 20 minute drawing. But to do that is, I think, the just the real groundwork of drawing, painting. I love Dan Gray, who would never miss he's a landscape painter, but he goes to life drawing classes because it trains your eye to proportions, and it's you get an automatic proportion feel to it. So it's, I don't know anatomy. I know, like, actually most of my knowledge of anatomy, if you can call it that, comes from being a first aid person at one point. And so I know what a, you know, I can't remember, tibia and femur and you know, those kind of things. But my knowledge of anatomy comes from drawing, drawing people. And so when I'm doing a sculpture, I look at it as doing like multiple drawings all the way around it. So you're looking at proportion and whatever. So it looks good from the front, but oh God, it looks terrible from the side. So you have to work on that. You have to work all the way around it. But I really recommend if there's any life drawing classes, I think that's the basis for all kinds of artwork.
Great. We've got another question in from Linda, and she's asking, where can we order the kits, and do you ship them to the US?
Yes, I do. And yes, I do. You can order them straight from me, but they're on Etsy. If you look up Garden Fairy Kit, they're on Amazon as well. But if you go to my website, I have all the links to it in there. If you go to my website, which is cathousegallery.com, and you go to kits, you can go to sculpture, and it comes up under the sculpture thing. Let's see if it's still on here. Yeah. This is, I don't know if you can see that address. It's that one's actually sheenagallery.com. That works too. sheenagallery.com/sculpture. And the kits are down here somewhere. I think there they are. So it says check here for Garden Fairy kits. And you go there, and there's the garden fairies, and there's also angels. And they come with everything you need. I like to say, give 2 hours and a glass of wine, and you'll have a pretty good fairy.
Wonderful. So I popped those addresses into the chat box, and that was sheenagallery.com/sculpture.
Yeah.
And then the other one was cathousegallery.com.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I think maybe what I'll do is, because it seems like it's coming to a natural conclusion here, time for maybe opening it up for some questions. How about that?
Yeah.
Let me change the view here and put it on gallery. And if people would like to ask a question, feel free to open up your microphone and your video and ask away. Sheena, I'm just blown away by what you can do with ordinary chicken wire. I want to know how many, how do you buy your chicken wire, and like, where do you get it? What's that process?
Buckerfield's Farm and Feed.
Okay.
Chicken wire. Or we have a great little place in Bowser here too. I got it at the early bird. But yeah, I buy it's, oh, that's the other thing that I didn't really harp about. It's 1/2-inch chicken wire. You
Great.
can get 1 inch or 2 inch, but there is a 5/8 inch chicken wire in China, and believe me, I've tried to get it over here and you cannot get it. So if anybody has a line on 5/8 chicken wire, please let me know. It would be just wonderful to have it. It only costs like $600 or something to get 1 roll over here. So,
oh, wow.
But usually I buy the 2-foot by 100-foot rolls. Okay. And they're about $60 for that. So you can start out with, 25-foot rolls, no problem. And it's one of the really, really wonderful things about chicken wire. You're not making giant investments to do artwork that you may not sell. You know? So I'm pretty stingy when it comes to art supplies. That's another big plus with the chicken wire.
How many rolls of chicken wire would it take to make something like Isadora Arabesque?
She would be about a roll and a half.
Oh,
It'd be more like 2 rolls.
2
for
rolls.
100-foot rolls. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's doable. Like you're not casting bronze. You're not taking away marble and going whoops. And,
that must give you a real sense of freedom too, to be able to create, knowing that you're not going to be.
Yeah, it's all part of it. It's like doing that life drawing on newsprint. You know, like it gives you a real, definitely a freedom. If you're scared that you're going to break the bank with something, you know, you'll be hesitant on something. Definitely helps. Yeah.
It's like in the old days of picture taking, when you had to actually buy film and pay for the film and then pay for the development and everything. And now everybody is out there being creative with their iPhone, so it works very, very well.
Yeah. I remember hosting. I have birds and animals and things, and I was hosting a photo club for the 4-H club about 15 years ago, 3-H or whatever. Is it 4-H? 4-H.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I came definitely from the school where you had like 12 exposures and then went up to 24 exposures. Wow. But you sat and you got the right image, and these kids arrived with their digital cameras. It was click, 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 click. And it was so funny. I mean, it's such a different thing. And they're getting fabulous shots because, you know, 1 out of 100 ought to be good. You know?
True.
Yeah, it really is interesting.
All right. I'll ask one more time if there's any more questions. I'm not seeing any more. I'm seeing thank yous. I think thank yous coming through from Linda and from Natalie saying thank you. It's been fascinating, and I would absolutely concur with that. So maybe what I'll do then is I will wrap up. I thank you so much, Sheena. Oh, did you have one more thing? Yes.
Yeah, you can go to my Facebook page. I regularly update my Facebook page, which is probably where these people got the invite. But
okay, great, wonderful. So we can.
Yeah.
Follow you on Facebook would be a wonderful thing too. So, but thank you so much for sharing your enthusiasm and your considerable talents in creating something out as simple as chicken wire. I think that's a really wonderful thing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you also to the participants for joining us tonight and for your questions. And I'd like to let you know that this is, we've got 2 more talks going on in our series for the Sooke Fine Arts Show this year. We are wrapping up on Monday, the 5th. Boy, it's just flown by. These 11 days have just flown right by. But we do have 2 more talks coming up. So tomorrow night, Saturday, at 6 p.m. is a talk by Birgit Koth, who's an amazing artist. And she's talking about how artwork draws us in. So if you go to the registration page to sign up, you'll see a picture of her beautiful peony that she has opened up there. And it does feel like you want to be a little bee flying right in there. And then on Sunday night, we have abstract painting in acrylic by Mary Lou Wakefield. And she's got a really stunning piece in the show this year with big blocks of color and then a tiny little line of light coming through the 2 pieces. It's really fascinating. So somebody's asking, what is the website for the video? If you're talking about this particular video, it will be on SookeFineArts.com. Right now it's under the show. So if you go to our events page or the show and then the events page, it'll be put up there. Demos and talks is the other spot that it will be on our website, and we will leave it up for another year. Or at least till next year's show. So,
Terry,
yeah.
Will I be able to put a link on my website for it?
Absolutely, you can. As soon as we get this posted, we'll get it over to you, or you'll see it there, and you'll be able to put the post. Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's been fascinating, and I've enjoyed seeing where people have come from all over the world to come in and listen to Sheena and gain a little bit more knowledge. So thank you again, Sheena, and I'll say good night to everyone.
Mary, that's been really, really nice. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you to Sooke Fine Arts. You're doing a wonderful job under the circumstances.
And yes, hopefully back next year in real life where everybody can come and see the beautiful pieces themselves. So, all right, I'll stop the recording now. Thank you.